Okay.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna ask you some questions about your workshop so that
Okay.
people can understand what they can expect. So we can start with what does it really mean to call someone in?
Okay. Okay. So, a lot of people are used to the idea of calling someone out,
Yeah,
calling out
yeah.
to say you're doing something wrong, or really it's criticizing or questioning someone else from a place of I know more or I understand more
Mhm.
than you understand. And so I'm going to inform you, I'm going to open it up for you. And it can, even when it's effective, which it can be,
Yeah.
even when it's effective, it can it can also be distancing. It can create distance, and it isn't very relational, and it's not therapeutic.
Yeah.
So, worst kind of image would be a therapist interrupting a person who's speaking, a client who's speaking in their from their trauma, interrupting that therapeutic moment to inform the client that they are doing something that is incorrect in terms of social justice practice. And I think most therapists understand, and most counselors, facilitators understand not to do that. People don't generally do that. And maybe even they learned in graduate school why that's not appropriate. But then many people come to me as a supervisor and they say, "Well, I know not to do that. But what, do I just let things by? Do I not do some, what do I do instead?
Mhm.
What is the alternative?" And so, yeah, so Loretta J. Ross, whose book, do I have her book right here? Maybe, maybe not. I don't see it. Loretta J. Ross has been a really powerful teacher for me.
Yeah.
She wrote a book called Calling In. And what she teaches is, instead of canceling people or criticizing, what would it look like? What would it mean to invite,
Mhm.
even midwife, that's not her word, but midwife, the justice consciousness that might be ready to emerge. And what that means is that instead of placing ourselves at a distance to observe in a cold way what is wrong or what am I bothered by, that we would lean in, right? Leaning in with curiosity and interest, to avoid triggering defensiveness or shutdown, and instead discern what is ready in the direction of justice and care, moving at a pace that allows us, first of all, to decide to do something liberatory rather than something carceral or policing. And then to listen for the liberatory possibility that may already be there and then bring it forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind
Understand
of,
softness. Yeah.
I mean, it could be firm, it could be soft, it could be kind. I think it's always about dignity and respect. That's
Right.
always true. But there's calling in isn't always passive or soft. Um, it can really be, binding.
Mhm.
It could be, and this is why the somatic aspect in this workshop is important, because we're going to look at what is the difference between accusing someone or shaming or punishing and inviting,
Mm.
compelling, um, investing in someone,
Right.
essentially saying, I believe in you.
Mm.
And I mean, without saying it, I'm I'm holding a different kind of accountability that's more relational rather than being the judge, jury, and executioner. I'm
Yeah.
finding fault. I'm going to tell you what's wrong, or show you, or just give you the energetics, because judgment can be totally nonverbal, right? Just like, or something. And then instead of that, like leaning into, wait, where's that coming from, and what is underneath the thing that I'm maybe finding problematic, um, and then moving from performative to transformative.
Yeah, I love it. So, if someone has never heard the phrase calling in before, how would you describe it?
It's basically a stance. This is why, again, looking at posture and neurobiology of a certain kind of regulation, right? Like, so if I can demonstrate it, if something happens that I find offensive or troubling, part of what's happening is I'm having a threat response. So I go, I need to do something about this, right? I could kind of get pointy or scalpely. I'm getting ready to do an intervention that
Defense.
maybe has a kind of a point focus. Where calling in is the somatics are deep regulation. I may have a noticing, like, okay, there's a signal that something maybe needs attention, but then am I really at risk in this moment?
Mhm.
Is a threat response really necessary? And what kind of deep regulation can I cultivate so that I move to curiosity rather than threat? And so I'm going to widen and open. And so again, practicing somatic grounding and widening and welcoming. And the way we'll do it in the workshop is really going to moments when we've had access to that very vast, grounded, peaceful
Regulate.
state.
Yeah.
And from there, we ask a different question than if we're activated.
Mhm.
So calling in is activating our own regulation and then becoming invitational to someone else to find theirs. And
Right.
through that, widening the possibility for justice, peace, coalition, relationality.
I love it. So, why do you think this practice is especially important for helping professionals?
Well, again, I think that most people who do helping work, healing work, facilitation, um, just have an instinct not to be punitive and carceral. It just sort of makes sense, not, if you're trying to heal. But why I think that focusing on calling in, and it's not just calling in, calling out. There's two more things to look at, which we'll explore in the workshop: calling on and calling off. Um, that there's more nuance
Mhm.
than just calling out or doing nothing, right? That calling out is, well, I need to do something. I need to name the wrong. I need to intervene. I need to interrupt oppression. That maybe is what a lot of people feel compelled, obligated kind of to. Um, but what are all the other options inside of a therapeutic moment? And there are at least three more, or many more inside of the three. So calling in is not just one thing. I think it's largely curiosity, which we do anyway, right? Like when we're in a therapeutic mode, hmm, tell me more, right? So that stands. But if we go, tell me more about that, like what's
Yeah.
going on with you? But if we're really truly in a grounded place, like, okay, wait, what's happening? What, where does that go in your autobiography? What's arising? It it sounds, I mean, essentially, we're we're responding to a threat response already.
Right.
When someone says something, racist or sexist or bigoted or does something that has those kinds of qualities, right? Usually there's a threat response there. Someone is feeling threatened. So that's where we can get curious. Okay, what was the threat? What what is it in your life experience, conditioning, or just nervous system experience that's causing that flare? And then what is a larger container
Mhm.
than the threat?
Yeah.
We can host the threat and not react to the threat with more threat.
Yeah, so creating a space where the client feels safe.
Yeah, a degree of safe.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to feel safe when they notice that we noticed
Mm,
right there. You know, like if I misgender someone in my therapeutic session. Let's say I have a couple and I misgender, just happened a couple days ago. I misgendered someone.
yeah.
So I was in a threat response because something in me, almost as soon as I did it, I noticed it, kind of. And then I noticed the partner notice
Mm.
too. So now two of us are in threat response, and then the person I misgendered also had a threat response. Now we're all in it.
Oh,
We're cooked, right? Like, how can I be effective? Um, but there's a bigger container, the relationship, the therapeutic relationship, just the wisdom that's available, the fact that we're interconnected, and all these other kinds of deeper spiritual values are there. And so taking a moment, I don't even think I don't think it even got language. They may bring it up the next time they come in, but in that moment, I didn't draw attention to it. I'd already done it, the harm. So in that moment, I just went, oh, and then I made another statement in which I correctly gendered.
the repair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't ask for forgiveness, which is about me. I didn't apologize because we were doing something else.
Mhm.
I may still have an opportunity to apologize and I'm ready to, but in that moment, it was really more about hosting this little blip that happened. And also, it's normal, right? Wherever you go, there's reactivity
Yeah.
to
To everything.
being non-binary, you know. Gender normativity is everywhere. So why wouldn't it be in my room, in my head, in my body? So it's there.
Yeah.
I recognize that. I neither want to make the session about that now, nor do I want to pretend it didn't happen. So I did enough to just name it. And then I watched my clients graciously welcome that calling, that my own calling in of myself.
Yeah. I get.
But if I'd made it a big apology, or if I had, tried to get them to forgive me or something, um, that would not be an elegant calling in.
Yeah.
So, how soon can I get calm enough, safe enough that I can re repair, as you said, or renew the relative safety that was there before that happened? Because my threat response can only make things worse if I just get really agitated about having made a mistake or done something wrong. So, a lot of the somatics that we're exploring in this workshop are about finding our way back to a centered, grounded, to our centered, grounded commitment
Mhm.
that's already there. We haven't lost that. But coming back to that is not so easy, and it is practice.
There's a practice for everyone. Now that I think about it, even myself, that I'm not a therapist, like I won't take it.
Yeah, like it's really just about relational primacy, right? Like I want the I thou, that's the dignity aspect. Like how can how can it be that the sacred in me and the sacred in you are in communication and connection and not be lost away from that? And so deepest in deep regulation we recognize each other
Yeah, being
that way.
men together, kind of. Yeah, I love it.
So
Well,
what we'll do in terms of preparing for or anticipating what might happen in the workshop is we'll be remembering and re-experiencing moments of deep regulation
okay.
and also exploring some imagined scenes of deep regulation around nature and that building that up.
Okay.
And then for people who want to, we'll also try on some experiences, either real experiences or feared experiences of fight or freeze
Yeah.
um, or fawn that could get in the way.
Okay. So, last questions. If participants leave with one thing, what would you hope that is?
I think just the sense that there are choices,
Mm,
that in a moment of either I have done something I don't feel good about that I, believe is oppressive, or someone else has done something
yes.
that that registers that in those moments I want, I think the participants will walk away with, okay, I have some choices.
Mm,
I don't just have to do something that, it has an edge of criticism, and I'm not stuck with passive doing nothing
mhm,
that feels bad to me.
yes.
There are other options I can bring, and that they're quite subtle. That we will explore them as action, but it really is more about the biochemistry, the neurology, the mirror neuron. It's how I be in those moments that can make the biggest difference.
I love it. Even I want to take it.
Great.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Te
All
lo
right.